All right, welcome to the webinar, everybody. We're going to have a great time today talking about the 4 essential habits of pro bloggers. So as we're waiting for people to come in today, I just want to find out who's with us. So if you will use the chat box directly on the right side of the screen and tell me your name and where you're watching from. So what part of the country, what part of the world are you watching from today? I'm in Florida, and it's a warm day, but there's been a little bit of rain, some thunder, and I certainly am hoping that it clears up. So what about you? Where are you at today? Take a moment, tell me your name and where you're from. All right, we got some more people trickling in here today. Glad you guys were able to hang out with us. I'm going to give you some action-packed advice that you can take and use today for your blog. So I'm real excited to share this with you. I've been working on this for a while, and we're going to have fun. It looks like we got a number of people, some of you trickling in. We got Ben from Iowa. We've got Greg from North Carolina. Looks like we've got Aaron from North Carolina as well. Vanessa from Oklahoma. Eric from Maryland, Terry from Hawaii. We've got, let's see, Troy from Alabama, and stating the weather's the very same as it is here in Florida. We're supposed to be the Sunshine State, but it's not being so sunny today. Looks like we got Rebecca from Denver. Hey, Rebecca, glad you are joining us. And so we got some more that are coming in. We've got, let's see, we got Chris from Idaho. We've also got we got another Terry from Canada. So if you're just now getting here and joining the webinar today, we're going to get started just about 5 minutes, but we love to hear where you're from. It's always interesting to hear where people are watching from. And so just put your name, your first name, and the state or country where you're watching from today. So take a moment and do that. We got a few more. Erica from Iowa. Hello, Erica. And Larissa from Alabama. Elizabeth from Michigan. Kathy from New York City. Jim's down in Orlando. Jim, you're not too far from me. I'm a couple hours north of you in Florida. So, actually heading down there on Friday. I'm going to meet up with some people and hang out at Disney. Our family has yearly passes since we're only 2 hours away, and we have a Florida resident pass, and so we are treating the kids for the end of the school year, taking them down there on Friday. So if you are just joining us, we're going to get started here shortly, and I've actually also got a workbook, a PDF workbook, so that you can take what you hear about today and actually apply it to your blog. And I've taken careful consideration for every level of blogger. So whether you're just a beginner blogger here today, or you consider yourself a little bit intermediate, or if you're a little bit more advanced, this workbook will actually dive into these 4 habits with some questions for you to think about. And from these questions, they're really going to help you get some clarity with your blog. So again, that's going to be at the end of the presentation today. You're going to walk away with a PDF workbook. So we're going to get started in just about 2 minutes. For those of you who are just now joining us, say hi in the chat box and let us know your first name and where you're from. We're right at 4 o'clock Eastern, depending on what time it is, wherever you are. But I'm on the East Coast, and it is 4 o'clock, so we're going to get started. But I do need to say hey to Vicky in Lexington, Kentucky, and Chris in British Columbia, and Gina's also from Orlando, and Joe from Cincinnati, Ohio, and there's more that are trickling in. So if you guys have questions, now that you've used the question box, you can feel free to ask questions and they'll be sent to me. And I'm going to cover as many as I can. I've intentionally left some time at the end to just open it up and answer questions for you. And so we're going to do that toward the end. And also, like I mentioned before, I've got a free workbook that's going along with what you're going to hear today. So this isn't just a bunch of theory we're going to share today. This is a culmination of basically since I've been blogging back in 2008, early 2009, the people I've gotten to know, and just getting clarity on my own blogging journey, what those 4 essential habits are. So we're going to jump in and get started with that today after I get a quick drink of water. And we'll get underway. So we got some more from 2 more from Oregon. We've got somebody from South Africa and Alaska, Pennsylvania. Welcome to everybody. Glad you guys can hang out with us for a little bit here. I see Sean in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is where I grew up. I lived there until I was 19, then I moved to Florida. We got Andy from North Carolina and Kim from France. So glad you guys are all able to join us today. My goal here today is to keep this action-packed. It's going to be actionable advice that you can walk away from, and your time is super valuable to me. So let's jump in and get started. So let me just open up. Well, first of all, let me show you. I always like to show I'm a real person and that I'm really here. So here I am. I'm here, and so glad you guys could join us today. So no matter where you're watching from today, if you'll just spend the next 60 minutes with us, I'm going to really dive into what I believe and what I've been using for the past several months, probably a year, the 4 essential habits of pro bloggers. And in that, I'll tell a little bit about my story. If you're new to me and you don't know much about me, we'll talk about that as well. So let's just jump over here and do a quick screen share of our material today, and we'll jump right into the notes. And for those of you that are just joining us, again, we've got a free workbook that we're gonna let you have at the end at no charge. So let's jump in here. And you're on this page because you. One second here. Make sure I grab the right thing here. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the 4 essential habits of pro bloggers. And you should be able to see the screen. Let me make sure, double check. I think I forgot to pick the screen. I'm going to pick that screen. Now we're going to play the slideshow so that you guys have access to it. All right, so today we're going to talk about the 4 essential habits of pro bloggers and what that is, what that means. If you haven't figured it out already, especially if you're blogging, I assume if you're here, you either want to blog or you've been blogging for a while, or maybe you've just become overwhelmed in the entire process. I'm going to really help to simplify this today because it is easy for us to what I like to call the spider web, where we begin to spider web out of control, and we literally have trouble and we have difficulty with being able to, I would say, being able to get things done because there's just so many things to do. So it looks like some of you are saying keeps flipping back to my video, so let me just do something else here. Sometimes we get these little technical glitches. So let's try this again. And let's see if we can go this route. One second. All right, so I'm going to keep it easy. We're just going to go with this route with the screens so that everybody can see what we're doing here. All right, so let me just help you with what today's goal is all about. Today's goal is simple. I want to help you understand the 4 essential keystone blogging habits and how you're going to be able to apply them. So that's the goal. Pretty simple, right? But in applying them, I'm going to be very specific, and I'll share with you in just a second how you, no matter what level of blogging you're at currently, that you will be able to do this and that you'll be able to implement this into your blog. So first of all, I guess the big question is, who am I, right? Some of you may have not heard of me or you may not know much about my story. Well, my name is Jonathan Milligan, and my tagline is, I like helping people discover their passion and earn money blogging about it. And you can find me on bloggingyourpassion.com. Some of you may know me from the Simple Life Habits podcast. I also am the creator of the Blogging Your Passion podcast. And then I love talking about productivity, careers, lifestyle business over at jonathanmilligan.com as well. So that's what I'm about. There's a little bit about me as far as places I've been featured online, and I've had the opportunity to connect with a lot of people. So I see questions coming in asking about the workbook. Yes, I am going to give you guys the link to the workbook PDF that you can print off. It'll actually include some of these very slides that you're going to have, so you don't need to be overly concerned with trying to write all this stuff down. But the free gift I have for you at the end is the 4 Essential Blogging Habits Workbook PDF. So let me tell you first of all, before we get into this, because I don't want you to get overwhelmed, I want to help you with how you're going to apply this. So I want you to think about it in this terms. Whether you consider yourself to be a 101 level blogger, 201, or 301. So for today's purposes, I'm considering a 101 level blogger someone who's been blogging less than a year. Or maybe you've come here today and you are just curious about this blogging thing. You haven't really started. You can still apply this. The 201 level blogger, somebody who's been blogging, I'd say more than a year. You've started to get some kind of traffic, or you got a little bit of groove. You figured out maybe a little bit of social media, or maybe you have at least a Facebook page, or maybe you've done a little something over on Twitter. But at the same time, you'd love to have more traffic. You'd love to kind of take it to the next level. Well, I've got some applications for you today as well. And then if you're a little bit more advanced, you say, I've actually been blogging 2 plus 3 years, and maybe you've started figuring out how to earn a little bit of side income, or maybe you've actually begun to earn a lot more than that. I'm going to have some application steps, some action steps for you as well. But before I do that, I actually got a quick poll that I want to do. So on the right side, I am going to pop up this poll question, if it works correctly. And I want you to tell me which level of blogger are you. So take a moment right now and click one of those boxes. Are you at the 101 level, less than a year? A 201, you've been blogging 1 to 2 years? Or are you a 301? You've been blogging over 2 years. Just check which box is for you, and then click on Vote, and we'll see what we end up with here. So I'll give you just a few more seconds. Go ahead and click one of those, 101, 201, or 301. And give you about 10 seconds. All right, let's see what we got here. And there we go. Looks like we have about 64% that consider themselves in the 101 level. Well, that's awesome. That's great to know. We've got 22% of you who've been blogging between a year or two, and about 13% been blogging over 2 years. So we do have at least a representation from everybody. Looks like a lot, probably the majority of the people are in that less than a year. But regardless, like I said before, you're going to be able to apply a lot of what we're talking about today, regardless of your level. For each of the 4 habits, I'm going to give you an action step, regardless of what level you're at. So let's jump in. Let's talk about the first one. Here is the first, what I call essential habit. Essential habit number 1 is create. You have to get behind the idea of creating consistent and compelling content. Now, for some of you, what that means is, and this happens to me a lot, where I'll actually end up on a blog that I'm sort of interested in, but I can see there hasn't been a blog post here in 9 months. You know, it's like the tumbleweeds and the old West tunes are kind of being brushed along the way on this blog. And sometimes it's content that I was really engaged in. You know, maybe I found it via Google. I read a blog post, and I'm like, oh, this is I like what this blogger is doing here. Then what I do is I tendency to jump to the home page, because I want to see what's the latest he's been talking about or she's been talking about, only to come to find out that they blog once every 4 months, or maybe it's been even 6 or 7 months since they blogged last. That is like a recipe for disaster. At the same time, I understand and know that blogging Monday through Friday is not practical for most of us. So what the lesson here is consistent content, creating. This is the idea of positioning yourself out there as an expert, regardless of what your passion is. It really doesn't matter. I've got some people in a teacher passion course showing them how to create the first product. And out of all the students there, nobody's really creating the same type of product or course online. It's a mixture of music to ministry to publishing children's books to using LinkedIn to, I mean, it could be anything. You really can, we live in a great time where you really can grow a blog around a passion that you have. But you have to learn how to create consistent and compelling content. Do you have an editorial calendar? Do you have a goal? If you really struggle, maybe you need to scale it back to just doing a blog post every single Monday or every single Tuesday or Friday. Being consistent is important. It's important for your readers. So let me try and apply this habit. So how do we build in the create habit into what we're doing? So if you're at the 101 level, what I would kind of urge you to do is to build a consistent, notice that word, blog post publishing schedule. So just how can you be consistent? If you are the type of person who waits for inspiration, inspiration hardly ever comes. I hear that a lot from people that, man, I just wait until I get inspired and then it's easy to write. Well, what I've learned, and if most pro bloggers waited till they had inspiration, they probably wouldn't write that much. And they probably wouldn't be at the level that they're at. See, that inspiration often comes when we decide to jump in and just get started, just start writing. The inspiration for me often comes way after I begin typing. So if you're at the 101 level, how can you be more consistent? Is it a Tuesday? Is it on a Wednesday? Is it a Monday and a Friday that you're committing to? Is it a Friday that you're going to commit to? 201 level, what I would consider for you is to actually think about developing a podcast and making it a simple podcast workflow. So if you've been blogging for a while and you've got, let's say, you've got a good number of blog posts out there, or maybe you've already gotten the groove and you know, hey, I already kind of got this down. I'm blogging every Tuesday, but I really want to take my content to the next level. What I did with Simple Life Habits was I actually decided to launch 2 podcasts, one for blogging your passion and one called Simple Life Habits about productivity. And what surprised me was how much bigger of an audience was waiting out there for me to start a podcast. Literally, after 2 years of trying to build up my productivity blog, and I even had at that time, I think, at least 3 different articles that were featured on Lifehacker, which really created a spike in getting people to come check me out. If you know anything about Lifehacker, they get millions of views every single month. And that was great, but in literally 2 months of starting a podcast, I had surpassed in monthly downloads what I had accumulated in 2 years of blogging. My audience for that productivity type of message was really hanging out on the podcasts. And that helped catapult what I was trying to do. And you know what I did? And this is a simple, when I say simple podcast workflow, I simply took the articles, the blog post I had written, and I just started to turn them into podcasts. So I had plenty of material, had plenty of illustrations, plenty of scripts all ready to go. So that's something simple that you can do. If you're at the 301 level, then I would probably encourage you to think about video. Videos, it's a little bit more technical. Some people don't like being on camera, but I tell you, there is an amazing space right now on YouTube for people to capture you and to find out about you. But regardless of kind of what level you're at, you need to learn the create habit. You can go study all the successful bloggers out there, and this is one thing they all do well. They create content, free, shareable, social media shareable content on a regular basis. Now, again, it doesn't mean more is better, so don't get in the mindset that you can't be a pro blogger unless you do 5 awesome blog posts in a week. But you do need to be consistent, and you need to be putting new things out there. Okay? All right, let's jump over to number 2. So, essential habit number 1, create. Here is what pro bloggers also do really well. Essential habit number 2 is compile. They compile and package their knowledge and research into products. There's many books out there that started as blog posts. It was a way to test out the audience, to test out their writing. Then they were compiled and edited and changed and converted over into an actual product for sale. Now, as you can see in this picture, I've had the opportunity to create lots of different courses and products. Had I not taken that step, even before the audience showed up, I don't know if I'd be where I am today. Some of those products, and these aren't all of them, but some of those products on there are like the blogging courses we have for the 101, 201, and 301 blogger. I created a course on Evernote that is a productivity course for creatives. I did a course together with a friend of mine called the Blog to Book Method, how to take something like a blog and turn that into a book. The Kindle Your Passion course. There's been a job search mastermind course, a resume course, an interview course, on it goes. And this is something that if you look at the pro bloggers that are out there that are making money, online as a blogger, they are really good at compiling and packaging their knowledge and research into products. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. One of them is from like the results that you have. So if you are a fitness blogger, then you can share results that you're getting, and you can package that into a program that people want to buy. Or maybe you've gone out and you've done research on some of the top fitness experts, and you spend hours watching videos and reading books, and now you're going to synthesize that down and teach the best practices of what the top fitness trainers do. Then you bet that's another way that you can compile your knowledge and expertise. So you can do it from the results perspective of results that you've had, or you can also do it from the research perspective if you're a learner. I'm a learner, so I love to learn. And so if that's you, you don't have to wait for a result in order to teach something. Go out and research it, put together something related to your passion, and turn it into a product or a course. Here's a quote that I love to talk about, and I don't remember if this came from me. It probably didn't, so I don't remember who said it, but this is true, and this is where a lot of people say it's kind of the chicken before the egg. What comes first? Do I have an audience, then I create a product, or does the product bring the audience? Which way does it happen? And what I simply believe is that people can't buy what you don't sell. I know, really profound, but it's true. If you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't have a big enough audience, I don't have people who will buy anything if I were to put something together, I don't know if anybody would buy it. Well, the truth is they can't even buy it because you're not selling it. So what do you need to do? A better question is, what do you need to do to have something up for sale. What is it? Well, let me give you a couple of ideas. So again, we're talking about the compile habit. Great bloggers are good at packaging their blog posts, their knowledge, their expertise, their research, their results, and packaging it into products or courses that they can sell. So if you're at the 101 level, here's what I can encourage you to do. Compile an ebook. Just start there. One of my first products was an ebook. It was LinkedIn job search secrets for accounting and finance professionals, because I used to be an executive recruiter for finance and accounting people, and so I knew they may not know how to use LinkedIn like me, because I was using it every day, all day. And so I put together a report. It took me about a weekend to create it and compile it. Some of that included blog posts I'd already written, and some of it was new content I had written, and I simply sold it. Now, today you can actually take that Word doc and upload it to Amazon Kindle. Now you've got something to sell. I've had a career book that I earn money from, royalties, every single month, that I created in a weekend over 2 years ago. Actually, this summer to be 2 years. And every single month since then, I've been receiving income from that one Kindle book. Or another option is use something like Gumroad. If you've never heard of it, I'd encourage you to check it out. It's like PayPal, but it actually will deliver your product to. And you can just go to gumroad.com. You can sign up for a free account. You upload your PDF, you set your price, and then people purchase it and they get the link to download it. All happens automatically. So that's a 101 level. If you have not tried to put anything up for sale, maybe a good first start is just compiling an ebook from your results or your research and try to sell it. The 201 level, my encouragement would be create an online course. There is nothing like having a course that you can sell over and over and over again. You put in the hard work one time, and then now you're able to earn the money long term. This is what Dan Miller often calls the Swiss dollars, and it's something that I've been able to enjoy now since 2009, late 2009, when I launched my very first course. And the Swiss dollar stands for sales while I sleep soundly. That means I can put in the hard work to create a course, and then months down the road, someone can purchase that course, and I could be doing something entirely different. I could even be sleeping. And there's been times where I've woken up, lots of times when I've woken up and seen that people in the middle of the night purchased a course that I had created. And you can do the same. You really can. Now, if you're a 301 level blogger, you want to begin thinking about how you can package a product suite. How could you take somebody on a journey? You know, in this Blogging Your Passion University that we created in 2011, we basically get people into the funnel at the 101 level, teach them how to properly set up a blog. Then at the end of 101, gives them the invitation to buy 201, where they can go and learn a lot of the traffic techniques that we use. And then the 301 is really designed to help a blogger who wants to move into a full-time blog. Like, what does it take? What are the things that you need to set up from a business perspective? And so that's how we have a product suite. So there are some ideas for you to compile. So as a recap, create. How are you doing with creating new content so you can position yourself as an expert in your passion? Compile. Are you doing anything in the compile arena to package your knowledge, your results, your research into something that someone can purchase and buy? Because remember, people can't buy what you don't sell. All right, let's go to number 3. And just take a little stop here for a second to encourage you to use the chat box to ask some questions. It looks like a good number of people are commenting and asking some questions, and I'll certainly jump over there and answer some questions in just a little bit. So we're getting about halfway through, and again, if you've joined us late, I do have a workbook that is going to take everything that we're talking about today, and it's going to have some additional questions and action steps for you so you can implement what we're talking about today. All right, so habit 1 is create, habit 2 is compile. The habit 3 that pro bloggers do well is campaign. They don't just send a single email saying, hey, buy my course. They are all about a campaign. And this isn't a slick oil salesman type of campaign. That's not what we're talking about here. But we strategically, pro bloggers, deliver content in such a way that people want to continue learning with them. And you can do the same. So this is all about how do you promote your message and expand your brand. So let me give you some practical steps when we talk about building that campaign habit. What do we mean by campaign? Well, if I was at the 101 level, I would really get serious about focusing on capturing people on my email list. You want to be able to have multiple ways for people to sign up for the email list that you have. Maybe you offer 2 or 3 different ways for people to engage with you. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. You can have something at the top of your blog where people sign in to an email list. You can have something over on the side. You can have something toward the bottom. Let me just show you. Let's see if I can do a screen share of one of my blogs to show you what I'm talking about. All right. So while I'm waiting for that to load, we see if we can grab this here. And here we go. All right, so this is the Blogging Your Passion blog, and you can see at the very top there is a teaser bar. This is the Attention Grabber plugin. You can buy this for 10, 15 bucks. And it just simply says, want to learn our 6-step blueprint for teaching your passion for profit online? Watch this free video. So someone clicks on this, it's going to take them to opt in, and they're going to get over an hour of video content that's going to teach them the blueprint that I've used for creating courses. If you scroll down a bit, you can see I'm advertising the webinar. So people, if they click on this, they will go to a page where they can opt in and give me an email address. Here's another one on how to create and sell your first product online. Teach your passion now open. If I jump into one of these blog posts, another area is at the very bottom of your blog post. Scroll down here a bit. And here's one on getting a free download for a blog business plan. Join a community of bloggers wanting to help others and make money in the process. Subscribe and get our free blog business plan. Click on that. So you can see I just showed you literally 4 different ways that I can engage people and get them into the process. Now, again, we're talking at the 101 level, might be as simple as just having a way to capture email addresses over here on the side. Or maybe it's as simple as getting this plugin, the Attention Grabber plugin, and setting that up. It's pretty simple and easy to set up inside of your WordPress. So I just wanted to show you that. See if that helped. And let me jump back over into our notes. Okay, so 201 level is to use autoresponders in a strategic way. So how do we use autoresponders in a strategic way? Well, first of all, maybe you don't know what autoresponders are. that is where people automatically get messages, email messages from you, and there's not anything you have to do. It all is done automatically. So an example would be, I showed you that orange bar at the top of my blog. If people opt into that, then they're going to be in a series of emails. That's going to deliver an email about a new video that has over 30 minutes of content that they can go and they can check out. Here, let me just show you an example. I'm going to jump into my email provider so you guys can see this. Okay, so I use GetResponse, and there's a number of reasons why I use GetResponse. One of them is this very reason that you see right here. You can set up an easy autoresponder. Hopefully you can see that just by checking out the days. So this is just from one of my email lists. This is the one from the top of the blog regarding Teach Your Passion. And so when they first opt in, they automatically get a link to a video where I'm going to share some great content on how to create courses. Then they get this email as a reminder to a link for video number 1. Then day 2, nothing. Day 3, they get this email. And let me just see if I can open this up so you can see it. So it says, "Am I really an expert? Plus, find your talent challenge." And so I have another training video for you. In this video, you're going to learn how to beat the fear of not being good enough, 4 principles on how to be an expert right now, the core genius mindset, and the Find Your Talent Challenge, 2 steps to unlocking your core genius. So they click here and they go to video number 2. And then day 4, nothing. Day 5, they get video number 3. Day 8, after I've given them over an hour of just pure content, then on day 8, they get introduced to my Teach Your Passion course. If they want to continue learning, then they can take that step and join the Teach Your Passion course. And then another email on day 10. So for the 201 blogger, if you're here and you say, I do not have any autoresponder sequence, this is what I encourage you to do. Think about the first 10 days and that you want to touch them with good content. These aren't, except for this one right here, these first 3 are nothing but content. They're not pitches to buy anything, but it's building a relationship with them until they get here. So if you're a 201 level blogger, these autoresponders is a great way to build a campaign where you're touching them on a regular basis. They're getting more familiar with you, they're learning from you, they're enjoying the process, they want to learn more, so it just makes sense for them to jump in to your course. So that's an example for a 201 level blogger, how you can create and design an autoresponder sequence in a strategic way. And then level 3, a 301 level, I would say that's where you want to get to designing a marketing calendar. And this is something I've been more strategic about. I actually have a whiteboard that is just to the left of me on my wall, and it's got the next 6 months plotted out. And I know, and I've got a great idea of when I am going to be trying to promote or create things, new products, new things that I want to maybe re-promote. And it gives me a track to run on, which is very important if you're at the 301 level. All right, so that's the campaign habit. Now, don't get overwhelmed with all of this. You don't have to, Rome wasn't built in a day. But if you don't have an email list, then you need to focus on that first. Begin capturing people on your email list. Or maybe you've got an email list, but you're not really doing anything with it. Well, how could we touch people in the first 10 days 4 different times and begin to build that up? Okay? Number 4. And again, in just about 10 minutes here, I'm going to give you guys the workbook. Really dives into each of these points and has multiple questions and action steps for you that you can take to kind of help you with applying all this. But here's what Probloggers do really well. Their 4th habit is they connect. And my challenge for you is I want you to step boldly into the connection economy. Now, this isn't a term. This is not a term I've made up. It actually comes from Seth Godin, and he talks about how we are moving more and more into an economy where people do business with people they really know, and that includes partnerships. That includes other people who have audiences that they're kind enough to share you and your products and your courses and what you're doing, or promoting your newest thing. And so the essential habit number 4 that pro-bloggers do really well is they connect. You know, I saw myself desperately needing to do more of this about a year and a half ago. I would say the beginning of 2013, I actually had a theme of connection. And part of that theme was going out and starting a mastermind group of like-minded people that could help pour into my life and be a part of what I was doing, and I could learn from them, they could learn from me. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was able to drive up into Georgia and hang out with a couple of the people from a mastermind group for an entire 24 hours. And I came away so inspired by that. And what it took me to realize, see, when I first started out, and I know many of you are in that one-on-one level, when I first started out, I really had the wrong mindset. I had this idea that everybody else in this blogging thing was my competition, and maybe I so much wasn't seeing them as competition, but I felt like they saw me as competition. And so that prevented me from reaching out, because I always felt like, man, if I reach out to them, they're going to feel like I'm trying to get something from them, and I struggled with that. But what I realized was, if I just open myself up and I try to be resourceful, helpful, encouraging to other people that were out there, and you don't have to necessarily go after the big guns. I think, you know, a lot of us think that, well, we just have to go after those people who have, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers. Those are the people that we need to connect with. Well, the truth is, if you connect with people that are just a little bit above you, or maybe they're at the same level, think about if you were able to connect with 5 bloggers who each had at least 1,000 people that were reading their blogs on a regular basis. Now you suddenly have access to 5,000 people, right? So all of us put together can help one another. That's what this idea of stepping boldly into the connection economy. So let me make some applications here. First one, if you're at the one-on-one level, then I really want you to think about guest posting. I know it takes more effort, but you got to start that process. You know, those of you who have been a part of this journey for blogging your passion for a while know that Bob Loddick and I are really good friends, and Bob runs christianpf.com. It's a Christian personal finance website and blog, and he's been doing that since 2007. It's his full-time income, and he has an amazing audience over there. I mean, it's just amazing what he's been able to create and develop over there. Well, guess how our relationship started? Our relationship started back, I would say, in 2009, when I reached out to him about him publishing one of my blog posts on his blog. Little did I know that would form a relationship to this day, that we enjoy helping one another, building each other's businesses. Bob's getting ready to come out with a brand new blogging book that most of you who are connected with Blogging Your Passion, you're going to hear about soon. And he has poured into my life. I've tried my best to reciprocate and pour into his life. But guess what that started with? That all started with me choosing and deciding to just send a single guest post. That's where it started. And so my encouragement to you, if you haven't gone down this road, you know, start by identifying what's the 10 places that I would like to guest post. Now, here's just a little kind of a clue to help you. Don't just pitch blogs because you like their blog. You need to see if they actually accept guest posts. So it's kind of silly if you're not seeing any guest post on their blog. it's going to be hard for you to convince them to post your guest posts. I'm not saying it's impossible, but choose ones who are already open to receiving guest posts. 201 level, I would encourage you to spread your message via podcast interviews. I've been doing this more and more, I would say, in the last 4 months than I have since I started podcasting. And some of it, honestly, if you want a reason to start a podcast, a good reason is because it's easy to reach out to people. It's easy for me to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm really enjoying your blog, and I like this new product that you're coming out with. I'd like to interview you on my podcast. And 9 times out of 10, they will reciprocate and say, hey, let's swap interviews, because they also would love for me to send my audience over to them. And that's how you can grow your blog really quickly in this podcast arena, because you're swapping interviews. And when I have a guest, like I've interviewed several, but one of the products I use for an editorial calendar is called CoSchedule, and so I interviewed the creator of CoSchedule. And so after I interviewed him and then I went live with it, he was promoting it like crazy on his Twitter account and on his social media. And you know what that's doing? It's driving traffic to me and to my blog, and it gives me more potential to be in front of more people. So podcast interviews are great. And then the 301 level is to move towards those blog partnerships, whether that is creating a product with somebody else, or maybe that is promoting somebody else's product as an affiliate, and then they want to promote you as an affiliate of yours. So just learn to move forward in this connection economy. And you do that by being a giver, being resourceful, being helpful, connecting with people, being more interested in them than even they're interested in you. And I promise, if you become real interested in them and you ask questions and you're interested in them and their story, then you become more interesting. So that is how you do the connection habit. So there's the 4 things. If you just write down those 4 words and really think about how to get them into your own blogging adventure, it will really help you. So think about those 4 things. Okay? Create. Remember we talked about that one? You just pop back up there. Create. Create consistent, compelling content. Compile. Are you packaging your knowledge and research into products? Campaign. Are you working at a way to promote your message and expand your brand? And do you connect with anybody, or do you just see them as competition? Well, I want to encourage you to step boldly into the connection economy. So before I take questions and I give you guys access to the workbook PDF, which I will in just a couple of minutes, here's a question I know that you're asking. How do I implement all this? Well, if I could just narrow it down to 3 things, this is what I would say. You need a goal, a game plan, and a guide. First of all, you need a goal. What is that clear outcome? If you don't have a clear outcome, you will flounder around. You'll jump into every secret traffic technique. You'll jump into every latest software that promises or over-promises things to help you. The shiny object syndrome will engulf you. You got to have a clear outcome. But it's not just an outcome where the X marks the spot, but what's the game plan? Do you have a clear strategy? Are there steps? Do you know what those steps are to get to that outcome? Maybe some of you here today, your goal, your clear outcome is you want your blogging income to replace your day job. And you're seeing more and more people online that are doing this. And that's really what you want to do. Well, then the next question is, okay, so what's the clear strategy? Do you know what those steps are? And maybe you say, I don't know. That's okay. But you need a game plan. And then finally, you need a guide. Who is somebody who says, hey, I've been there before, and here's the steps I took. And they can help you overcome the obstacles, help you maneuver around the challenges, help you climb over the walls. You need a clear path maker. So you say, okay, how do I get all three of these? Well, today I'm actually announcing for the very first time, and I've not talked about this at all. So this is brand new. I've not talked about it on my blog, to my email list, to my social media. Nobody. You guys are hearing it for the first time. Here's how you can get all three: a goal, a game plan, and a guide. I am actually launching an 8-week fast-track blog coaching program. And this is going to start on May 27th, and it's going to go through the summer. It's going to be 8 weeks, and I'm calling it the Blogging Breakthrough and Results Coaching Program, because I want to walk you through these steps regardless of what level that you're at. And you know, I get emails from time to time, and I have over the last couple of years, from people saying, do you offer any blog coaching? Because they'll come across my blog or the podcast, and maybe they like the tip or something that I shared, and so they'll email me. And I tell them, you know, I'm really not opening up anything like that right now. So this will be the first time in a while that I have actually opened up actual blog coaching. And we're going to do it in a very strategic way, because I am not about wasting time. I'm about results. And sometimes what you need is a guide who holds you accountable. I'm going to be the person that's going to help you get clear on the goal. We're going to develop a game plan together, and then I'm going to be your guide through it. I'm going to help you overcome the challenges. So here's what that will look like. So if you join us into this 8-week coaching program, this plan that we're about to launch, we're going to use those 4 foundational habits and help you work this into your specific situation and blog. So step 1 is the first 2 weeks of the coaching program. You're going to learn from me. You're also going to learn from others, because we're going to be in a private Google Hangout together. So you're going to learn. You can learn what other people are doing really well, and you're going to get plenty of ideas. But after those 2 weeks, you're going to walk away with a clear editorial calendar. Now, that could be purely just blog post. We can dive into podcasting if you want, if that's like something you want to dive into, or even videos. But you're going to walk away with those. Regardless, you're going to have a clear editorial calendar for the creating, whether it has to do with text, audio, or video. Step 2 is the compile. I'm going to help you think through in weeks 3 and 4 how to package what you already have been doing on your blog and package it into a product that people want. Now that could be from the results that you've received, again, like I said before, or it could be from, you know, your own research that you've done. It could be a simple product, or it could be a little bit more complex. I want to help you think that through and help give you the tools that you need to get that done. Step 3 is the campaign. I want to help you with building a list and creating a marketing plan. You're also going to learn from others that are in this small group coaching as well. And then the last 2 weeks is we're really going to help you develop your partnering strategy. How are you going to partner with other influential bloggers? What are the reasons why you're not? What are the obstacles? Do you not know what to say? Do you not know who those people are? I want to help you identify that and help you to move forward in that so you can be better connected. All right, so here is what's all included. So you say, what is included in this 8-week fast track coaching? And again, I appreciate you hanging on. I'm going to give you that workbook PDF, and I'm going to jump into some questions literally here in about 60 seconds. But here's what's included in that fast track coaching for those of you here today who say, this is what I need. I need a game. I need a guide. I need a game plan, and I need a goal. You're going to get 8 weekly live training calls. You're going to get the 4 Essential Blog Habits coaching with me. You're going to get access to the private online coaching portal where you can interact with me as well as other people in our group on a regular daily basis. And I'm going to help you, again, just so that you understand, design a workable editorial calendar, create a new product, develop a marketing campaign, and a connection strategy with other bloggers. And then I'm also going to share with you my blogging workflows, exactly how I produce a podcast or how I produce my blog post. I'm going to share any of that with you guys, and MP3 coaching call replays that you can listen to, PDFs, and I've got many more surprises that I'm excited to share with you in this coaching program. All right, so here's the details. This is going to be limited to 8 people only. I don't want to open this up to too broad and have too many people, because I want to make sure that everybody gets the right amount of time. And you can choose between 2 different time slots. So these private coaching calls in this group coaching environment is going to happen either Tuesdays at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or they're going to happen at Tuesdays at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. After you join the coaching program, you can let me know which slot sounds best for you, and we'll make sure we get you into the right one. So the question you're wondering is, what's the cost? What's the investment in this? Well, the original price that I had set to roll this out, and actually it'll be the price that I will be pitching, I'm sure, to the wider audience that's not a part of this webinar, is going to be $16.97 for the entire 2 months of being a part of this program. But I've got a webinar special just for you guys, kind of like an early bird, kind of give you an incentive or an opportunity to jump in early before the price goes up, for $9.97. Now you say, I'm interested, but I want to know more about what this is. I've actually created a video, and I have some information that you can go over to bloggingyourpassion.com/fast track, and I'm actually going to pop that up for you to check out right now so you can see that. It should be showing up on the right side of your window. But again, if it's not, you can go to bloggingyourpassion.com/fast track. I got a video over there and got everything kind of broken down for you to check out. So let me jump over into the chat, take a few questions for about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll give you guys the link for the workbook to help you apply this. Looks like I got a question that says, will you be reviewing our blogs? Absolutely. I think you're referring to being a part of this coaching program. Yeah, I'm going to really dive in deep into reviewing your blog, letting you know the things that you need to change, what I recommend that you change, how you can capture more people, how you can get more shares, all of that. We will dive into that, especially with the content in the campaign creation section. Let me look for a few more questions here. I got several people let me know where they're from. That's awesome. Again, somebody asking if there's a workbook at the end. Yes, just about 4 minutes. I'll give you guys access to the workbook. Question, how much importance do you put on themes with WordPress? Themes do help, and blog design does definitely help. You want to have themes that are not overly distracting and repulsing people. The latest rage today is having a responsive theme, because they say, a lot of people are checking out your blogs on their phone, especially if they're hanging out on Twitter or Facebook on their phone, and then they see your post, they like what they see, and they click over to it. What does your blog look like on the phone? And if you're curious whether you need to be concerned about this, then I would say go over into your Google Analytics and check out how many mobile views you get. That'll really kind of be an eye-opener, I think, to most of you. Kim says, how many posts per week does there need to be consistent? Well, consistent is more about being all into a specific, I would say, day of the week. A friend of mine has an email newsletter that goes out every Monday. He calls them Monday Mojo. and he doesn't miss it. He hasn't missed it in forever, and it's helped him to really get consistent with building an audience who enjoys hearing about what he's all about. I mean, people look forward to it. In fact, people will probably email him if they don't get something on Monday. You know, another great example, if anybody knows of Marie Forleo, over at marieforleo.com, she has what she calls Q&A Tuesday, and every Tuesday she has a video that goes with a blog post, and the video is always very, you know, they have guests on her video, or she answers questions that people have, and they're very high quality video. Well, she's not blogging 5 days a week. She's blogging once a week, but she's consistent. It's like every Tuesday, I can guarantee you that I'm looking forward to seeing what's she about today, because it happens every Tuesday. So the consistency, Kim, is what I think is the most important. Vanessa said, what's a good amount of posting that should be done each week? 2 to 3 posts, 5 to 6. Yeah, again, that consistency is more important. So if you're not getting that 3 posts a week, then maybe you need to scale it back to 2. Debbie says, this is what I need to learn. Awesome. Andy says, I see that many pro blogs have several people on board to help all of this. I'm finding it difficult to do all myself, and I can't be an expert at everything. How can I divide it up? Yeah, Andy, I'll give you a quick practical help. I actually just wrote about this on Blogging Your Passion. If you go to bloggingyourpassion.com, the very first post you see is how I'm using like a crowdsourcing service. I also have a VA, but this crowdsourcing service will do wonders for somebody like you. It's called Fancy Hands. I know it's a funny name, but what it is they actually hire US-based assistants who are ready to receive tasks from you. And you buy a certain amount of tasks. I think you can get started as little as $15 a month. I think what I do is $45 a month. And that $45 a month, what that does is it gives me, I think, 30 tasks. And I use them, and I actually share on the blog post how to do it. I actually use that to say, okay, I'm actually thinking about creating a blog post about podcasting. I'd like to have some cool facts or tips or things, and I'll literally just send it out, and within 15 minutes, I've got a bunch of great ideas. They'll bring back statistics, and they'll bring back illustrations, and I can fill up a blog post with quotes and illustrations and ideas just using a service like Fancy Hands. In the coaching network, I actually go into more detail probably for people who feel overwhelmed. I'm trying to help them take those next steps. But I would also say, Andy, if you just focus on what I talked about today, just those 4 habits. First of all, if you look in the course of a month, do those 4 habits exist in your month? Is there a time when you're actually creating new content? Have you tried to compile or put anything together that you might be able to sell? Have you set up any kind of campaign? Are you collecting email addresses? Start there. If you have email addresses, do you have a way to communicate with them? Then begin moving to that. And then lastly, have you tried to reach out to anybody about a guest post, reaching out to other people who are in the same space as you, get introduced to them, learn more about them? So I know that it can obviously be overwhelming because we start thinking about Twitter and Facebook and Google Analytics and all this extra stuff that I'm not saying isn't worth our time, but if we're not doing those 4 habits well, then we're not doing the thing that moves the needle. Okay? Let's see. I'll just take a couple more questions, then I'll give you guys the link, and then I'll kind of do a little after party and hang out and answer some more questions here. If you guys have the ability to hang around, I'd be happy to answer some more questions. Paula says, where do you find the free graphics or photos relevant to post? I don't want to post without graphics, but I don't want poor quality graphics either. Please speak about this. There is actually let me see if I can find it here. there is, and I'll share this in the chat, there is this really cool link that I've bookmarked. And I don't use it all the time, but I do use it. It's about 250 different free stock photography sites. And so a lot of times I'll just work my way down that list until I find the right type of picture I want. So I'm going to put that in the chat here. So you guys are welcome to use that link and bookmark that. But I like to use photolia.com because it definitely saves me some time. And so that's what I like, Photolia or Photolia, I don't know what it's called, but that's what I like to use. All right, I see a bunch of more questions come in, but we are right at an hour, so I promised you guys to be here for 1 hour. So I'm going to do a little after party hang around for an additional 10 to 15 minutes and answer questions. So if you got questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'll be happy to answer them. Whatever challenges or difficulties you're facing, I want to help. And also would love for you to be a part of this fast track. By the way, just in case, because I see some other people asking, it's going to start at the end of this month. It's actually going to start on Tuesday, May 27th, is when we're going to start that, and it's going to go for 8 consecutive Tuesdays, all the way up until the middle of July. All right, so let me give you access to this link. So it should show up on your screen now. If you just go to bloggingyourpassion.com/4habits, you'll be able to download the workbook, and the 4 is the number 4 habits, and you'll get access to the PDF. You can save it. It's got all the notes we talked about today, plus I took the time to go into each of those action points and list questions and action tips for you to implement this stuff. So this is information that you can apply now. So, all right, so I'm going to answer a few more questions here. If you got questions, ask away. Let's see questions about setting up autoresponders. You can do that with MailChimp. MailChimp is where I started, but I use GetResponse, and it's real easy to set up. You can actually drag and drop and click on a button, and you can do a 30-day free trial with GetResponse, but there is a monthly cost. But the monthly cost to start off, if you don't have a large list, is not that much. So that's one of the reasons I like to use GetResponse. Kind of like I showed earlier, it's real easy. I can just click on a certain, I can click on a number, say on day 3, click on this, type in what email I want to send them, and it'll do that for me. Then later I can decide if I want to drag it over to day 5, I can move it around. So that makes it real super easy for me. That's what I need. Question about income and how much you can make. Well, obviously that is all over the map, but I would say this: now more than ever, people are earning money doing what they love and enjoy. And what's great about blogging, what I tell people, is here's a couple things to think about. It's an asset, number one, because you can always sell it. I mean, even if you've got 1,000 or 2,000 readers at the end of a year or two, that's all you've got, there are people who will pay you to purchase that. You can actually go, there's certain websites you can put up for sale, and so you can actually earn money on your blog if, I mean, that's like worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario is you don't get it as successful as you want it to be, and you don't want to do it anymore, well, sell it. I mean, it is an asset, you're creating something. But that's kind of like the worst negative talk. I would say more and more people today are figuring out ways to earn money with their blog on the side. And that's what's great about it, is many of you have full-time jobs, and I did it once when I was first getting started. And so what I had to do was I worked by a philosophy called work for yourself first. So I started waking up at 5 o'clock, and from 5 to 7 a.m., 2 hours every morning before I went to work, I worked on my blog. I worked on creating new content. I worked on compiling and packaging my first thing that I was going to sell online, which was a job search course. And that's where I spent my time, just in those first two habits. Then you can always move to the other two, which really begin to ramp things up, figuring out how to do more of a campaign and begin to connect with other people, show them the product you create, share that with them. So what I love about blogging is that this is totally something you can do on the side. And what's really cool and awesome is that you can go at your work all day long, come home, look at your email, and see that you've had comments, you've had people sharing your content, you've had email from people saying how much they enjoyed the post that you wrote, and hopefully you begin to see sales as you were doing something entirely different. So it absolutely is possible. Let's see here. Looking through the questions. Vanessa says, Jonathan, is it okay to include a link to another blogger in my course? For example, if I'm saying this is how I have a productive day and how I set up schedules and all that, but I was inspired to do this from so-and-so, here is her video if you'd like to see it. Do I need permission to do that? No, you don't need permission to do that. Unless that was a paid product and somehow you're giving them access to it, you don't need to. Merritt said, I'd love to know some more about simple ways to get started podcasting. Yeah, I get that question a lot, and actually I'm working on, when I went to that 24-hour mastermind meetup, the two guys I was hanging out with wanted to see how I was doing it, and when I showed them, because I have to be simple, when I was showing them how I did that, or how I do my podcast, they literally smacked their heads and said, are you serious? Is that simple? So I don't know if I'm just need it to be simple, but I hope to share more about that, Merritt, in the days ahead. They encouraged me that I should probably share my workflow on Blogging Your Passion on how I do it, and I definitely want to do that at some point. Andy says, is there a place to list your blog with other pro bloggers? I'd love feedback to help develop my blog and to get reaction to the content. Yeah, there's different places you can go. There's different forums. Some of those forums are in paid memberships where they're hanging out. I know, for us, we have Blogging Your Passion University. One of them is the membership site, which gives you access to 101, 201, 301, the courses we talked about today, and Teach Your Passion. But there's a forum in there, too, where members can get insights from other people. But there's certainly places like that online. David said, what was the name of the plugin for the WordPress mentioned for building an email list? Yeah, what it is actually it's just it creates a little bar at the top, and you can make different colors, different sizes. It's called the Attention Grabber plugin. I think it costs $10, $10 or $15. If you Google Attention Grabber plugin, it will show up. All right, scrolling through a few more questions here. Bartholomew said, just getting started. How important is getting the right niche? This is a sticking point for me. Yeah, and I really felt that way too, Bartholomew. And I would say it is important, but I think here's the thing. It's not that you can't navigate or change, and I figured that out. And I'll give you an example. My very very first blog was a career coach blog, but I had and felt the pressure to be really niche specific. And so what I did was it was called CPA Career Coach because I spent 7 years before I started my blog as an executive recruiter for accounting and finance professionals. And so I knew a lot about the job search arena, but I'd also learned a lot about accounting and finance professionals. And so that was the angle I went. Now, here's the truth. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a CPA. I didn't even take accounting in college. So I got to the place in my own blogging journey where I was like, the only way I could take this to the next level is to network with accounting professionals or accounting professors or get people to actually write blog posts about accounting. Um, and so I decided that wasn't the route I wanted to go. So I ended up converting and changing my focus of my blog over to jonathanmilligan.com, where I still have all my career-related articles, and I do talk about careers from time to time, but I also talk about my other passions. And so if you're a person who feels like I'm kind of not sure where to start, and choosing the right niche is difficult, and maybe you're multi-passionate like I am, then it might be a better scenario for you might be to have a suite of topics that you enjoy. Maybe there's something that fits under the umbrella. You know, a great example that I always use is nerdfitness.com. That's just blown up out of nowhere. And I mean, how many fitness blogs are out there? But yet he likes to talk also about gaming and video games and the latest stuff that's coming out, as well as fitness. So he kind of took different passions he had and combined it. Let's see. Skip says, I have a retail store. I was going to start a blog to get found in search to draw them into the physical store. Do you feel this is a viable option? Absolutely, Skip. Blogging is a great way to get traffic because Google loves content. And so, you know, what is it that you could talk about? What is it that you could talk about that's related to what you have to sell? You know, a great example, a friend of mine is a guy named Brett Trott, and he makes handmade and homemade soaps. And one of the things he absolutely loves is being outdoors. He's near Yellowstone, and so he loves to talk about. He has a podcast that he does outdoors, and you could hear the creek behind him and the water and the birds, and he's out in nature, and he's just talking about how revitalizing it is to be outdoors. And at the same time as he's encouraging people to this outdoors adventure, he's also somebody who sells these really cool soaps. He calls Mountain Man soaps. So you can totally do what I would say is like a sideways marketing, where you've got your products for sale, but what is it that you could write about? What are the questions that your audience has that you could answer using a blog and content? All right. Let's see if we got a few more questions here. It's like people say, someone said, did I miss the link to the book? No, it's bloggingyourpassion.com/4habits. And you can download that workbook. Carla said, thank you, this was great. Paula said, this has been helpful. Thanks. Thanks, Jonathan. Very helpful. Cindy said, could you repeat the URL for the workbook? Sure, bloggingyourpassion.com/4habits. Paula says, I understand AdSense to be simplest way to get started earning income. True? Yes, that is true. I know some people have love-hate with AdSense. I know when I finally convinced myself to turn it on for my career coach blog, I instantly had at least a $40, $50 monthly income from it, and then it just continued to grow from there. Now I've kind of changed my focus a bit on my blog since making it a personal blog, because I have my own personal products that I want to sell. But you know, a great example is what Bob has done with Christian PF. I mean, he still has great income earnings from AdSense. And what AdSense does is it allows you to earn money per click, and it's going to show ads that are relevant to the content listed on your page. Mary said, your link to the free ebook says it was unavailable. I wonder if we have too many people trying to gain access to it. Let me try it myself, see if it's still up. And also make sure you're using, yeah, I just got it to work. Mary, make sure you're using the, I'll post it in the chat if you're still here, Mary. But make sure you use the number 4 and not spelling out 4. So it's the number 4 and then habits, and I just posted that in the chat, and you can just click right on it and get to it. Oh, Mary said, sorry, now I saw your, said that it worked the second time. And Deepak said, I just joined. Awesome. Welcome. Is there a way you can send the PDF file or something? I certainly can, and probably can do that. If there's a, Andy says, if there's a blog model that you relate to or a blog that you feel does some of what you do, can you find out how they've developed a revenue stream? I find it hard to find out how some of my favorite blogs and websites are making money. Yeah, you know, I'll give you some examples. For me, it is affiliate income when I recommend products that I already use that I believe in, and share and show people how I'm using the tools. That's one great way to do it. There actually is on bloggingyourpassion.com, we have, I think, a link that shares the different ways. Creating your products is also a great income earner. You know, obviously AdSense is a great income earner. When I don't promote it as much anymore, but for a while when I had my job search blog, I had earnings, pay-per-click earnings from having a job board. So I think, I'm trying to think if we still have, a link that shows different ways you can earn money. If you do a search on blogging your passion, like scroll down a little bit in the search box and type in something like make money, we have a couple of blog posts that share all the different ways that you can earn money with a blog, if that helps. So, all right, we're at about 20 minutes over, and if I don't see any other questions come in, then we'll kind of wrap things up. So I think that's it. So again, thanks for being here today. I will send out the replay if you got here late and you didn't catch the entire webinar. We can definitely make sure you get that. And if you have any questions for me personally about this fast track coaching program, maybe something I did not answer that you're curious about, and you just have those questions, you can reach out to me at jonathan@bloggingyourpassion.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions and try and help you out any way I can to make the best decision for you. But for those of you who did choose today to join, then I just want to say welcome. I'm glad that you're here and that you're going to be a part of this coaching program, and we're definitely going to, you've got my full presence and attention over the next 8 weeks to do everything that I've accumulated since 2009 to help you grow and take yourself to that next level. So again, thanks again for being here today, and I'd be more than happy to, again, help you in any way I can. So with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you had a good time today.